Nani?
You failed.
Chogaryu.
I am a
General.
like my father before me.
What is up, YouTube? Live via satellite here, and today we are discussing Kingdom, manga chapter 537. Now, nothing is wrong with hard work. Most people have to work hard to achieve any sort of goal, or to have any sort of success at all, period. But there are a select few. And with these select few, they are simply born with talent. It's just in their DNA. In this chapter, we see why Ouhon is included in that group. What else would you expect from the son of Osen? I mean, it's in his bloodline. He was literally born to do this. That's why when I see Ouhon do something amazing, it's never really that shocking to me. I almost expect this of him, but I can't be blamed for thinking this way. Most anime and manga always have like these father-son combinations, and usually if the father's OP, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Look, you got people like Luffy and Dragon, Goku and Gohan, Minato and Naruto, even Sasuke and Fugaku. Okay, yeah, so maybe it's not always true, because allowing your teenage son to kill your entire clan while saving you for a last pretty much eliminates you from this list. Okay, so the chapter starts out with a great view of the battlefield, and we see that Ouhon is still spacing out. And after hearing what Ouhon had to say about turning this battlefield around, Kanjo tries to speak reason to Ouhon, saying the only thing they need to focus on is getting him out of there alive. At that moment, a wounded Banyo shows up saying they need to get out of this mess and wondering what's wrong with Ouhon. And we then get a more detailed look at the flashback that Ouhon was having in the previous chapter, where he pretty much calls the view of a great general a fairy tale. But Muten lets him know it's very real. And with the next panel, we see Ouhon snaps back into reality, and you can tell by his eyes he now believes. And anything is possible when you believe.
If I just believe it, there's nothing to it. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky.
Well, almost anything. And then we get back to Ouhon, who's asking for Banyo because they need to split up the Gyokuho unit, and he doesn't want to miss their chance. And of course, Banyo is there, confused like the rest of the group. Over at Chogaryu, they notice that the Gyokuho unit has started to move to the right, away from the Gakui army. And they say that this is actually one of the two possible moves that they predicted. They were either going to try to withdraw, or they were going to try to attack head on to join up with the Akko army reinforcements. But they say no matter the choice, they would never have been able to outrun Jorin or Josho's spears. And that now they'll be able to run them down from behind. For some reason, these two guys really remind me of Suki and Maki from way back in Dakan Plains, and I imagine they'll share the same fate. But at the moment, they're chasing down Banyo, who's really shocked at how fast this incoming cavalry is, and how strong the two guys leading them appear to be. But at the moment, they just need to keep focusing on running ahead at full speed. And then we get back over to Chogaryu, who wants his men to go and confirm that Ouhon is amongst the Gyokuho unit that's fleeing away. But at that moment, we get a big commotion to his left. And of course we see that it's Ouhon leading a small detachment to the left through the Gakui and Chogaryu armies in a complete opposite direction of the rest of the Gyokuho unit. And even though they're having a tough time pushing their way through, Ouhon tells them that speed is the only thing that matters, and all they really have to do is focus on running as fast as they can. Chogaryu's men cannot understand what Ouhon is actually up to. Being that he has such few men, they actually wonder if Ouhon's using himself as bait. But Chogaryu is quick to realize what Ouhon's plan is. He figures if Ouhon can break out, that he will circle around and join up with Akko's reinforcements. But before he can do that, he plans to cut him off and block his path, which is like the absolute worst thing you can do because no one loves a blocker.
Yo, Jamal, what you doing over here, man? You know you can't be within 30 yards of a school. Blocked.
Oh, no, it's not even like that. It's like an adult school.
Your boyfriend and girlfriend. That's
Boyfriend and girlfriend, huh? More like father and daughter. Blocked.
I ain't never seen you with your hat off.
Hold on, wait a minute. LeBron got the same thing, baby. He got rings. Hello, rings. Don't stop him none. He out here winning, baby.
But Chogaryu also wants to hurry because he knows that with their small numbers, they'll have greater speed. But as they're trying to move into position, Ouhon and his detachment break free. And Chogaryu's men realize that they haven't made it in time. But Chogaryu says it's not a problem because at this point, they'll attack their vulnerable flanks when they try to make their turn to regroup with Akko's men. And Chigari goes as far as to state that with their small group of 600, they'll be able to kill them with 3 thrusts of a spear. But to Chigaryu's surprise, that turn never comes. Ouhon just keeps leading his men straight forward. Chogaryu even wonders if Ouhon's lost his mind in the heat of battle, because in the current direction he's going, there are no allies awaiting him. The only people waiting for Ouhon in that direction are the reserves waiting in the Zhao campgrounds. And Ouhon still has Gokui's cavalry at his back when in front of him appears the reserves that Chogaryu was just talking about. And as they begin to charge and shoot their arrows, Ouhon has his men turn to the left. And here we actually get a very nice piece of detail, because 2 of Ouhon's soldiers are talking as they're riding, and he says, be sure not to fall off your mount, because if you do that, you're as good as dead. And the one soldier actually comments that his horse actually took a hit and has been trembling for a while now. And it's kind of interesting to see that, because you kind of forget that these soldiers aren't just relying on their own strength, but they're also relying on the strength of their steed. And if your horse collapses, you're both pretty much finished. Then you see yet another cavalry incoming, and Shotaku and Kyoko are wondering, was the whole point of the escape to find some sort of safety? But Ouhon lets them know that they have no need for that, because they are about to go on the offensive. And at this point, under all sorts of duress, from arrows to cavalry, Kanjo cannot help but to ask Ouhon where in the world is he leading them. And Ouhon confidently tells Kanjo to the weakest point in the enemy line's formation. And I have to say, reading this part of the chapter really reminded me of like a high-speed car chase in the movies, except with horses. It just seemed like Ouhon was weaving in and out of traffic trying to avoid incoming obstacles. But then we see that something finally clicks for Chogaryu. Then we get a brief explanation about the fundamentals of warfare and the line formations for this period in time. And we see that these line formations have really one big weakness, which is their rear. And if any enemy were to attack from the rear, it would be able to create a pincer attack, which is why they leave some reserves there to intercept any enemies that would come from the rear. But the most vulnerable part were the rear edges, because if attacked there, that would cause a pincer attack that would cause the line to collapse from the outside in, almost like a domino effect. And this is why Ouhon was trying to avoid all these reserves while maintaining full speed, because he had his eyes focused on this particular point. And at this point, when Chogaryu finally realized what Ouhon was up to, he could not help but to admire him, because the edge he was seeking was completely on the opposite side of the battlefield from where Ouhon had originally started. And you can see that Akko and Bananji are both actually in shock over these unexpected developments. And one of Chogaryu's men is completely in awe that this man would be trying to aim for something so far away. But of course you have to have that one hater soldier who's like, but yeah, he may have made it over there, but he only has like a couple of hundred men, so it's not really gonna make an impact. But Chogaryu lets him know that if Akko's any sort of general, he'll be able to make sure he takes advantage of this situation and respond accordingly to Ouhon's moves. And on cue we see Akko telling his left flank to advance positions and attack and pincer the Bananji army along with the help of Ouhon, and that he himself will keep Bananji and his main forces occupied there. Akko realizes that things aren't going according to plan, but he also realizes that if things go well, they'll be able to cripple the Bananji army to a point that they will no longer pose a threat from today onwards. Chogaryu is in complete disbelief, because not a moment ago they had Ouhon in their grasp, and on the spot he was able to create this plan and completely turn the situation around. And he wonders to himself, just what is this man? And as Ouhon's charging in, he's thinking back to the things Moten said to him about how the 6 generals, no matter whatever situation they were in, always treated themselves as the heroes and center of the battlefield, just arrogantly forcing everything and anything else to revolve around them alone. And then we get an epic shot of Ouhon doing his Dragon's Nest move, taking out more soldiers than you can count. And that was the chapter in a nutshell, guys. And I really enjoyed this chapter, guys. This chapter was cool to me because it really shows you the actual level up. We actually got to see Ouhon level up before our eyes. I know like most of the fan base really doesn't like Ouhon, so I'm not sure how everyone else will react to the chapter or enjoy these Ouhon chapters. But to me, it's no big deal. Ouhon to me is like the middle of the monster trio. To me, he's the character who has like the most balance. He's the most balanced character of the 3. He's stronger than Moten, but not as smart as Moten. He's not as strong as Shin, but he's like smarter than Shin. You know what I'm saying? So he's like the balanced guy. He's probably a Libra. But the first thing I want to talk about is the plan, because I think Ouhon's plan was just brilliant, because it had really no holes in it. Even from the beginning, the first thing he did was like a little misdirection, a sleight of hand, by making Chogaryu think he was going to the right. And then when he did go to the left, he hit the left on the seam where the Gakui army and the Chigaryu army were meeting, because at that scene you would think the formations between those two armies would be a lot weaker because they're just coming together. So he's even using that scene to his advantage. And by taking a smaller group, it allows him to move much, much faster. And I believe it also allowed him for maneuverability when he was weaving in and out of incoming obstacles like the reserve armies. And the plan wasn't just stunning because he was able to get out of a jam. The plan was really amazing because not only was he able to get out of a jam, but he was actually able to shift the entire momentum of that battlefield in Quinn's favor. The only thing I'm really worried about is the rest of the Gyokuho unit, because Banyo was leading them, but he was actually wounded, and it looked like they were actually being chased down pretty quickly. So I'm curious to find out how they made out, if Chigaryu's army had pulled back when they realized Ouhon wasn't there, or if they were able to wipe out the remainder of the Gyokuho unit. But right now, I'm going to talk about something that may probably shock you, because what I think is going to happen is this. Right now, it looks like Ouhon and Akko's pincer attack may be very effective. The only thing I think that could actually stop this move from being successful is really Bananji himself. And what I mean by that is Bananji having a duel with Akko, because right now the morale is really high on the Quinn side. So the only way to shift the momentum back in your favor would be for Bananji to take out Akko. And I'm sure Bananji may realize this, so I wouldn't be surprised next chapter if Akko were to die. And I could be dead wrong about that, but usually in Kingdom, when something looks too good to be true, it usually is. But anyway, guys, that about does it for this review. Let me know what you guys thought of the chapter in the comment section below. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to share, comment, and subscribe. Peace out.